Nintendo has been on quite the roll. I'm not going to say they can't do any wrong because obviously people have different issues with decisions Nintendo has made in one way, shape, or form. But a lot of the things they have done in the long run, in my humble opinion, in my estimation, looking, seem to be working out. Maybe not working out as people expected it to, but I think they seem to be playing the long game. Anyway, we're going to get into this article right here from comicbookmovie.com. Nintendo is rumored to be developing a Metroid movie. Now, movies are always a good selling point. If you know anything about the late 70s, early 80s, there was a whole thing about marketing different things to children. And so what a lot of companies did was they developed cartoons so that they could sell action figures. The cartoons became the marketing ploy, and it worked. If you grew up in the 80s and 90s, I had a bunch of Transformers and GI Joes. I wish I would have saved some of those items. They would be worth a lot of money today. Anyway, let's get into this. Uh, Nintendo's recent push into Hollywood continues to gain momentum, and the latest buzz has fans of the Metroid series on high alert. According to industry insider Daniel Richtman, better known as DanielRPK, a Metroid movie is reportedly in the works. This rumor, which surfaced on Richmond's Patreon page and quickly spread across social media and entertainment outlets, suggests the project could focus on the Metroid Prime storyline, which, in my humble opinion, if you're going to make a Metroid movie, Metroid Prime is the 3D first person shooter Metroid. I think obviously that is the best Metroid to make a movie adaptation of. Again, that's just my opinion. Some people might disagree. I'm not going to make it seem like I've been this huge Metroid fan. There are people that are really serious about their Metroid fandom, and they may disagree, and they rightfully so. Maybe I'm not going to say I have the definitive answer, but I think let's say as a Metroid layman, I think this is the best option. Again, as a Metroid layman. Though details remain scarce, no studio, director, or cast has been attached yet, but the mere possibility has ignited debates about how to bring bounty hunter Samus Aran to the big screen. The timing couldn't be more intriguing. Just over a month ago, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond launched to solid reviews, making a triumphant return for the first-person adventure subseries after years of development hurdles. And some people might see that and they might say, "Oh, there wasn't solid reviews. People didn't like it." I will say, if you look at the ratings and the scorings, even of people that had their gripes, it's still got a pretty high score. And I will tell you, playing through Metroid Prime, which I still haven't beat, it takes me forever to beat games. I don't rush through, and I don't game how most people game, playing hours upon hours on end. I may play 30 minutes here, an hour there. Sometimes on a weekend, maybe I play a little more, but typically I don't. Anyway, with that said, even the reviews that have been hypercritical have a lot of good things to say. The game is visually stunning and fun to play. Critics praised its atmospheric biomes, intricate puzzles, and boss encounters, though some noted shortcomings in combat depth and narrative simplicity. As one review put it, the game feels like a mixed bag, but the perfect Nintendo Switch 2 experience, highlighting its visual prowess and exploration elements. With Prime 4 reigniting interest in the franchise, a film adaptation seems like a logical next step for Nintendo, which has been aggressively expanding its IP into movies following the blockbuster success of the Super Mario Bros. Movie in 2023. And I think Nintendo realizes that a lot of the shortcomings some studios are facing, they can kind of get past that just by taking creative control. And Nintendo protects its babies, and their IPs are their babies. Uh, Casting speculation among fans is already heating up. Names like Brie Larson and Charlize Theron floating around as ideal fits for Samus. Now, some people might take issue with somebody like a Brie Larson being mentioned. As a matter of fact, I skipped a paragraph, so let me get back to that. For those unfamiliar with the title, Metroid has been a cornerstone of Nintendo's library since 1986, blending action, exploration, and sci-fi horror in a way that often compared to Ridley Scott's Alien, which is fitting. Given the series' iconic villain Ridley, Samus, the silent protagonist, in her power suit, navigates alien planets, battles parasitic Metroids, and uncovers galactic conspiracies. The Prime trilogy, starting with 2002's Metroid Prime, shifted the perspective to the first person while preserving the isolation and mystery that define the games. If the movie rumor holds true, it could draw from this era, offering a cinematic take on Samus' encounter with space pirates and ancient artifacts. Now, back to this next paragraph, starting with Brie Larson. A lot of people will probably take issue with Brie Larson being mentioned as possibly playing Samus Aran because of some of the fallout of things she said. But I will say, Brie Larson got a new publicist or something, because she has been very wise in how she's answered questions publicly and dealt with public things. And it seems like she's trying to stick with just talking about the acting or the movie, etc. Maybe that's not true and I missed some interviews, but from everything I've seen, that's what it looks like. Charlize Theron, she may fit as well. We'll see. Larson's experience as Captain Marvel brings superhero credentials, while Theron's role in Mad Max, Fury Road, and Atomic Blonde showcase her action chops. One X post even suggests Larson is literally right there, accomplished by a meme highlighting her suitability, especially with her already being in the upcoming Super Mario Galaxy movie. I didn't even think about that. That is coming out this spring. That does make a little sense. Yeah, I think Brie Larson kind of has that Samus Aran look, and I can definitely see how she would fit. Of course, you're gonna have some fans that are gonna question if they go with her, if this is even a thing, right? This is all rumors, so you never know. This isn't the first time Metroid has flirted with the big screen. Back in the early 2000s, there were whispers of a film directed by John Woo, but it never materialized. More recently, insiders like My Time to Shine Hello reported that Universal is eyeing Metroid rights to fold it into the burgeoning Mario Cinematic Universe. Nintendo's recent financial briefings have teased more films beyond the announced Legend of Zelda live-action project, so a Metroid entry aligns with their strategy to leverage IPs across media. If handled like the atmospheric sci-fi horror, it could stand out for some of the older fans amid the family-friendly Mario and Zelda adaptations. And I think Nintendo is doing good at marketing, although they've had missteps. Because I know somebody's in the comments is going to bring up this recent thing or that recent thing or this misstep. Look, they're not perfect. You can point out missteps with every company, but Nintendo seems to be making a push to return to their, now I'm going to say this, hear me out, return to their powerhouse status in gaming. That's not to say that Nintendo went away. But let's keep it real. Sony sucked the oxygen out of the room with that original PlayStation, and they just stole the show. And they've just been on top unequivocally for years. And it seems like Nintendo is trying to make a push to gain some of that ground back. And when you look at the sales in Japan, they're actually doing just that. Nintendo is actually gaining back some ground that they lost. I'm not telling you they're overtaking Sony. That's not what I'm saying. But Nintendo seems to be back in the fight. Okay. However, it is very likely that a lot of this happening hinges on the success of Zelda and Mario films. I'm just going to go ahead and say the next Mario film, if I had to take a guess, is going to be a smash hit. I don't know if there's any doubt about that personally. And I think Nintendo is going to make sure they do everything in their power to make Zelda as good as possible. Let's see, where was I at? Zelda, Metroid film. And of course, rumors like this should be taken with a grain of salt until Nintendo confirms anything official. However, the excitement and hype is very real. Whether animated or live action, a Metroid movie has the potential to introduce Samus to a new generation, blending Nintendo's gaming legacy with the big screen spectacle. With all of these franchises making films, I personally hope we see a Super Smash Bros. Film in some sorts. One can dream, right? I don't know if Super Smash Bros. I don't know about that. Maybe somebody in the comments can could shed some light on why this might work, but I'm not sure that will work. Now, Metroid, if they do this in like a 3D animation style versus live action, that might even work better. Not everything has to be live action. Even if they did a really, really good cartoon version and put it in the theaters, I think that would work as well. But I'll take live action. They just have to be very careful about how they present this in live action form. In the meantime, fans can revisit the video games like Prime 4 Beyond or dive into classics like Super Metroid to tide themselves over. Keep an eye on Nintendo's announcements. With their track record, this rumor might just morph into reality sooner than we think. And as always, stay tuned for more news as it arrives. Metroid as a movie. If Nintendo actually does this, if they get a really good Mario sequel, which I have every confidence that they will, and Zelda is a smash hit, which I'm actually confident it will be, and they do the same thing with Metroid, man, Nintendo's in prime position to do something big. Let's see how they handle this.